from our standpoint, we just, we believe that there's going to be a big popular vote majority. We believe there's going to be a big electoral college vote majority. We need to defend it at every level. That means we need to defend it against voter suppression. We need to defend it against voters getting kicked off the rolls. We need to defend it against all manner of mischief at the local level, last-minute relocation of polling places without telling people, all that kind of stuff. And then we're going to have to defend it in court, in state court, in federal court, in the state capitals, especially in the swing states where Republicans control both the state House and the state Senate. And that's 4 of our major swing states. That's Wisconsin, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Florida.
So, but let's say the Democrats are winning in the state of Pennsylvania. So it appears by popular vote. But then I've seen scenarios, and they may not be accurate projections, where the Republicans say, no, there's too much confusion with these mail-in ballots, and we can't risk not presenting a slate by the 14th of December. Does the state legislative branch have a power to override the secretaries of state?
That is the danger flashpoint, right? Where you've got a Republican-controlled legislature in a state that we think is going to go big for Biden. Say Pennsylvania, where Biden could win by 1 million votes. He's extremely popular in that state. He grew up mostly in Scranton before moving to Delaware. The Republican legislature might pick up a cue from Donald Trump and say, oh, there's so much confusion, there's so much chaos, there's so much fraud, and not based on anything, but just saying it, and then say, therefore, we're going to overthrow the popular election results. We're going to nullify the current state election law. We're going to adopt a new election law which purports to appoint electors for Donald Trump or for, you name it, Mike Pence or somebody else. Now, there are several problems with their doing that. The first problem is that under the Electoral Count Act of 1887, the votes have got to be cast by the state according to a law that was pre-existing before the election. So in other words, what they're talking about doing is specifically contemplated to be in violation of the Electoral Count Act. That's problem number one. Problem number two is that all of the laws that they're purporting to overthrow are laws that were adopted under the existing state constitutional system, which means that the governor of the state signed them into law. So that means that the governor of Pennsylvania would also have to sign into law the statute that overthrows the election and that institutes the new Trump electors. Well, that's a Democrat. In 4 of these swing states where there are Republican majorities in the state houses, you've got Democratic governors. And their voice becomes very important also when we're counting the electors, because when they're finally all sent in on January 6th to the Congress, and the president of the Senate, who's the vice president of the United States, Pence, reads them, you could have rival slates. So you could have a GOP slate coming out of Pennsylvania under this new law. You could have a Democratic slate under the old law, recognizing the popular results. And if Pence tried to say, I accept the Trump electors, the House could object. The Senate, if Democrats are in control, could object. But even if just one House objects, both houses have to separate and then vote. And if both are Democratic, both would say, we're going to reject those electors and we want the other electors. Or if we're divided up, then it's supposed to go to the so-called certificate of ascertainment, which is what the governor of the state issues. So that's back to the Democratic governor of PA or Wisconsin.
So all of this is a reflection, a byproduct of a very troubled arrangement, really, that we've had since the inception of the country, where I guess our founding fathers never quite trusted the rabble to vote. Because, I mean, this is like crazy. I don't think people would accept this too well.
Well, nobody would accept it if we were voting on it today. We don't try to export it to other countries, even when we spend millions of dollars teaching people about democracy. We never even try to get them to accept the electoral college system. But here's the thing, what we're trying to defend is the basic idea of the popular vote and then the electors under the current laws. What they're talking about doing is way beyond the normal problems, the normal undemocratic features of the system. This is an attempt essentially to thwart all of the idea of popular democracy and electoral college democracy, such as it is. But you're right, we're going to have to clean up the whole system when it's all over.